Vlogs. So, girl, I ain't got no title. Hey, everybody, we are live.
I don't have a title.
Yes, Watson and I were just kicking it, laughing over in the waiting area before we started this conversation. Thank you, everybody, for hopping on. Also, huge shout out to all of our replay viewers. We're happy that you guys hop on and watch us. So, guys, the Sister to Sister Connection talk show movement is about to be relaunched on this Friday at noon. But Tawanta and I have been talking for the past couple of days, and we want to this season. This is going to be our season 2 of our Sister to Sister Connection talk show.
Mm-hmm.
And for each and every panel discussion or topic, for most of them, not all, but for most of them, we want to invite you guys, the public, into the conversation to put in what we call your 2 cents about the topic. So we're going to jump into all this foolishness that's happening on Capitol Hill. But the primary reason why we decided to do this quick pre-show is for those of you who would like to join us for our Friday conversation. Our Friday topic this week is going to be about sister versus sister. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Yeah. But you guys know, we told you guys 2 weeks ago that on our Sister Sister Connection talk show, we're also going to be talking about what's going on in the current news of this social unrest that's happening right now. And I was telling Tawanta before we went live is that I really don't like to talk about politics all the time because it can go crazy. But I feel like in this era, we have to talk about it, right? And it's so funny. And Tawanta, let me know if you do this too. I talk to my kids a lot too about politics, right? I know you probably do that for your daughters. And it's so amazes me how even though they're so young, they're so aware, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know with the George Floyd situation, both of my daughters, they were on it. They were ready to protest. They were ready to go out into these streets, and they did. I did not enforce that on them.
Yeah.
But they took it upon themselves to actually do that, because with this generation, with our daughter's generation, they are very, very strong-willed. They are not taking any mess from the government or whatever in terms of disrespect and what have you. And they just dominated. And I'm super duper proud, of my daughters, because, they just headstrong, and just looking at this today, I mean, it's just appalling. It's sad. It's annoying. It's just really
disrespectful.
It really is.
It really, really is. You just went live, and if you could just recap on some of the things that you discussed when you went live earlier about this whole craziness. I have to call it foolishness. I can't think of another word, but go ahead, sis.
I know. I know. I mean, I was just on live about 45 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was just shocked just to see how rapid this mob was growing and how dominant that they was just taking over, this entire building, this big, massive building. And first of all, I'm like Letitia, I'm not into politics like that or whatever, but I do try my best to keep up to date with what's currently going on.
Absolutely.
But watching the news feed on, Facebook and hearing the comments of people, talking about this is crazy, blah, blah, blah. I just happened to turn the channel and I saw what was happening. And I was like, wait, the Trump supporters did what? And I went in, I turned the TV on and I was like, this can't be happening right now.
But it is.
And the more I, listened to it, then I was just totally overwhelmed because I was like, wait a minute, were all these people standing outside prior to this? Or what? Or did it just automatically just started to grow rapidly or what have you? But the bottom line is this: if this was reversed, okay, if there was a group of black people, black men in particular, was a different, nationality, whether it's Hispanic, whether it's Islam or whoever, It
Mm-hmm.
would be a bloodshed. It
A
would be
bloodbath.
tear gas. It would be shots fired. It
You
would be a
name it.
whole lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. Because there's no way. This is double standard. 100% double standard.
Absolutely. All the
It
way. It
really, really
absolutely is.
is.
It absolutely
Um,
is. And you just mentioned, oh, go ahead. Keep going, Mama.
no. I was just saying that, you know, because they expected Trump to come on to say something, and he did, because the president elect was on, and he told, he just said out loud, Trump, you need to step up,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
do your job. And
Mm-hmm.
later on, he did show up. He's saying to people, go home, what have you. But then he goes ahead and says, we were cheated.
Mm-hmm.
That the votes were was false and all this other stuff. But
Mm.
yet he's still saying, go home
But yeah,
and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, you're not making any sense. And plus you causing more fuel,
exactly.
in this situation. And people are taking that in, and they are dominating the steps and the wall. And I mean, if you didn't see it, Letitia, they had people breaking in the offices.
I saw it all. Yeah.
Yeah, and sitting on the chair, propping their feet on the table. I mean, and my husband told me, he said, this is a federal a breach situation. And this
Mm-hmm.
is something that, yeah, by law, those persons will get arrested.
Mm-hmm. They should.
And like I told him, I said, but I hope they do, because
Mm-hmm.
this is the opportunity now to prove to America that, the police are fair.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it came to us, we was fighting that protest. Police are not fair.
No, no, they're not.
We have
No,
seen
they're
that.
not.
George
Mm-mm.
Floyd is a living witness. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that whole situation is a
Yeah.
living witness, what we
Yep.
experienced. So if they want American people to support the police department or the SWAT team and whoever else, then they need to go ahead and do their due diligence. They
They
need to do
have
what they
to.
are called to do.
Yep. Yep.
And I mean, and we need to see that.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah.
to see that.
We need to see a better example of it because
Exactly.
this is just so alarming that all this is going on. Is like I said, is outright disrespectful. And you just said before we hopped on that you heard that the young lady that who got shot has actually
Yeah.
passed on.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is just so crazy.
Right.
And just like piggying back over what Tawanta said, politics is not always a subject matter that is brought up in both our timelines. But it's like when you are silent, you have to ask yourself: is silence is a questionable thing on whether or not who exactly you do support. So, like you just said, Tawanta, if this was our brothers out there
Mm-hmm.
fighting
Mm-hmm.
for our
Mm-hmm.
God-given rights, it would have been a totally different outcome. So, with that said, Tawanta, we have a sense of frustration.
We
You
do.
know what I'm saying? Because
We
it's like,
do.
wait a minute, these
We
people
do.
over here acting a damn fool. The country
Yeah.
has spoken.
Yeah.
Has spoken. But they're acting a damn fool. And it's just so freaking astonishing to me that all this is continuously going on. And I love the fact that your daughters are getting involved. They're out there just not speaking about it. They're actually out there taking action. It takes a lot of courage. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of this takes a lot, because at this point, our younger generation, that's the only solution to it is for them to actually do something about what's going on in the world today.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And all we need to do, honestly, is to, when I said on my live, is that the body of Christ, we need
Oh
to
yeah.
just continue to pray for our country.
Mhm.
We need to pray for our president elect, pray for, Kamala Harris, pray for
Mhm.
our governors, all of them, all the high
Mhm.
officials, because that is in the Word of God anyway. We are
Yep.
supposed to pray for the American people, pray for everybody.
That's right.
And prayer does change
It
things. It
does.
really, really does. It may not change the way like we want it to be changed, but trust and believe it does change.
Mhm.
And I get it. We all feel this frustration and disrespect and dishonor and all of that. We do have that freedom of speech, but I know honestly some people are abusing that. that entitlement of freedom of speech, because you see it right here now on Capitol Hill, where they are actually not protesting. This is like a mob kind of work. You know what I'm saying? This is
Straight
like
up.
a bully type of situation. You
Straight
just go
up.
ahead and break the glass, break people's doors, and
You're just going
go
to
ahead.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically causing a lot of havoc and disruption. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the spirit of the enemy, because that's what the devil is. He's all about to kill, steal, and destroy anyhow. And we just have to really be, focused, and not get so wrapped up into that craziness, and and just say, you know what, God, you got this. You got
That's right.
this.
All
It's
the
just
way.
so sad that the current president is not really impacting as he should. He's
That's
not really
right.
standing up and really opening up his mouth and saying something to get these people off the grounds and to go home to their family in the middle of a pandemic,
That's
in the
right. Right
middle
in the
of the
middle.
it's just crazy to me. But some of them don't even care. They're not wearing their masks. For some of them, they're walking around, all boasting and proud and everything. And we have a 6 o'clock curfew there, and people still haven't left yet. They got the police out there, and I don't know if the National Guard has already come or not, but it's really crazy. And now you're hearing in the background a lot of threats from them, talking about this ain't over. This is just the beginning.
Yes.
And of course, in 2 weeks, we will have a new president and new vice president. And we don't know how they're going to have that set up. But I best believe, and I pray to believe, I hope and pray that they will have tight security.
Super tight security. And another thing, I even could say, like, the alarming sense of entitlement that, these people feel that they have, that they can, all the foolishness that they're doing, that they can actually change the outcome of the results of the election. That part, to me, and I used to work in the mental health field, the whole sense of delusion, that I'm seeing now, that I'm like, okay, I feel like some people need to be diagnosed. There's some people walking around here, and I'm not a social worker or a psychologist, but
yeah,
I'm working the field long enough to know that maybe they need to see one ASAP. ASAP, right away, and start getting on some type of treatment, because it's just, you know, I can't think of anything else at this point. It's like, I'm in a nail salon. I was at a new nail salon. I really don't like how they did my nails, but that's a whole other conversation. But I need to fly out whoever you go to, Tuan. But I'm sitting there, my husband's texting me. I'm like, oh my God, sending me screenshots, links. And I'm like, is this true? Like, is this really happening right now?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's just so sad. I mean, in just a segue before we jump into the topic that we're going to be discussing on Friday, is the culture of Black women. We as Black women, Tawanta and myself, many of y'all who watch us are Black women, women of color, what have you. And it's always these stigmas that's put on our foreheads that people just brand on us that are not true. They're not true at all. So Tawanta and I were going over some terms, because 2 weeks ago, Tawanta, when you and I went live to talk about the Sister Connection talk show, the launch, someone inboxed me and they asked me, well, the young lady said, I noticed that you guys are gearing your show towards Black women. I'm not Black. How can I be a part of it? And really, this show is for everyone. It's really for everyone. Sure. But what we want to do is we want to educate other non-Black women on this whole stigma of the angry Black women. And we have like 4 words, okay, or terms that you should never use when referencing a Black woman. I just have to, and these are just our personal opinions. You guys can have yours if you like, sharing in the chat. But the first word is angry. You never want to call a Black woman an angry Black woman, right? That is like, hello, we're really passionate about what we do. We're really we're not different when we're expressing ourselves in a passionate way. We're really no different from any other nationality. Let's just be clear. But when people use that term, angry Black woman, it pisses me off. I always correct people when they use that term, whether it's against me or against somebody else. But it's a really ugly term to use, and it's so much false narratives that comes from that word that erase our overall dialogue that we want to express in that moment. When you say angry black woman, you're just totally, you know, making me small, or making us as a unit small. I mean, what do you think, Wanta?
Um, Definitely, because when you hear the word angry, that can become very intense for that other person. They
Mm-hmm.
were like, well, oh, I don't want to be around her, because you don't know what she may be capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And people will have this false identity of that woman, or of me, or you.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you know, we're not like that. We may be upset, but we're not angry. And even if we are angry, we know how to control it.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, we know how to control our anger. We are all human. We all have been angry to some degree. Some
Mm-hmm.
people have done things that is totally, uncalled for, but there are some of us, we basically will step back from it and say, let just give me a minute to cool down, give me a minute to rethink the situation over, or what have you.
Yeah.
But yeah, please be careful with that word, because yeah, a lot of sisters are tired of hearing that.
That's right.
We're tired of being accused of being the angry black woman. you
Mm-hmm.
know Ever since Tyler Perry did that movie, The Diary of an Angry Black Woman, I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
they have taken that thing to a whole nother level. They really,
Mm-hmm.
really, just really took it to a whole nother level. And if you really look at the movie, yeah, she was angry, but not like abusive.
No,
You know what I'm saying? She
not
was angry
volatile.
because she was
Yeah.
betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
Her marriage was broken. Her marriage was gone. Everything that she did for her husband was taken away from
Taken
her. She
away.
felt
Mm-hmm.
helpless, hopeless. So you got to look at that movie and understand her emotions. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, whatever that we as women deal with, people assume that. And then yeah, you see some sisters out there, or just women in general, that definitely will take it to a whole nother level. And you like,
Mm-hmm.
I get your frustration, sis, but it's not really meant. You don't do stuff that will cause you to get yourself in trouble,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But I also say too, Letitia, that it can also be a double standard on our end, because
Yeah.
we too, in our own culture, we do the same thing too to each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're
It's
right.
not just outside the box here. It's also
Mm-hmm.
inside the community as well.
That we have to change it. You're so right. Like, we have to change ourselves within the community as well. And going back to that term angry black woman, it's like, that comes from a term of abuse. It's almost like you're almost saying that we're abusive women, like we're just abusive
Yeah.
people, and that's
Yeah.
not the case. But it's so true. It does work within us ourselves as a community, because at the end of the day, I know a lot of the women in my family, all they're doing is matching your energy. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you bring forward, you're gonna get it back. But
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? So all we're doing is mirroring, I mean, not just myself, but all we're doing is really mirroring what energy, whatever energy that the other individual is giving us. So a
Right.
lot of times people can dish it out, but they can't take it. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
that
saying?
is
So
true.
that's the thing. That's the huge thing. And I have clients who are Caucasian and other nationalities, and I think if we constantly, as Black women, educate instead of getting angry, say, listen, I know you've probably been in spaces where that word was acceptable amongst Black women, but I don't like that word. So maybe you can use another term, or use an accurate term of what I'm trying to express. Please don't use that word with me. Because I've
Right.
worked in corporate, I worked around Black women where they were afraid to educate, other nationalities on
Yeah.
terms and verbiage and things like that. Because they were afraid that that person would get offended. No, you're just correcting people, because people are really walking around here for the most part, sometimes just ignorant on how to communicate with us. But
Mm-hmm.
there is a way to communicate with us, a
Absolutely.
respectful way, and it just ends there. So another word is aggressive. I was
Yep.
watching a show, a reality show. I don't really watch TV too much, but one of the things that stuck out for me about this reality show was when another woman told a Black woman that, girl, you being aggressive. And I'm like, oh God, you can't don't use those words against us, that word against us. It's almost like you saying I'm about to fight you, and that's not really the case. I just need you to hear what I'm trying to say without being cut off or interrupted. You know, that's that aggressive word. If you really look up in the dictionary is really a sense of like I'm pushing you to do what I want you to do, without any. You have no choice but to do what exactly I want to do, and it comes from a term of abusive behavior, which is not something that represented. If you go way back into the history, and we just being honest, you know, when we were stolen and brought over here, you know, we were raped, we were beaten, we were, I mean, so much aggression has been brought on us. And but we're the ones that had been labeled those titles of angry, aggressive, and things like that. And I'm just like, wait a second here. Those are not words that are defining us, or words that represent us. What do you think, Tawanda?
Absolutely. Again, when you hear those words, angry and aggressive, it's like a threat to the other person. You know, they are threatened by you. When they see you, they see your presence, they see your energy is high, and all of these things. And, you know, immediately they think that their lives are at, you know, at stake, or that, you know, they need to run away, they need to get away from this aggressive, angry Black woman because she's irate, or she's this or that or whatever. And, you know, that isn't the case. You know, it really isn't. Depending on that situation, I would say, depending on that situation. And of course, a lot of people, they don't educate themselves. They don't take the time out, I would say, to really, you know, find out, you know, is there anything wrong? Is there anything I can do to help, or anything like that? Most cases, people just, you know, just walk out the room. You know, as soon as, you know, you raise your voice and say something like that or whatever, people turn their head real quick and be like, okay. Oh, you know, be like at the church with their finger up.
Let me tell you, can I say what just happened to me yesterday? Yesterday, my sister and I we actually walked to the post office because, you know, I'm trying to lose weight and everything, right? So we walk into the post office, you go in. Obviously, everyone has to practice social distancing. Everyone has to wear their mask. So we're staying in the post office. It was me. Mind you, the post office was long. The line was long. So it was like maybe 20 people in there waiting. So we're standing in a line. There's another Black woman standing in front of us. And the person in front of her, you know how they have those dots on the floor?
Yes.
Where you're supposed to stand? Yes. The person in front of her, it was a male. He did not stand on the dot. He was standing like further up. But that was his dot to stand on, okay? So someone who was all the way in the back of the line tells the Black woman, she says, lady, you have to move up. You like doing this, you know, or I don't like hair move. You from New Jersey, Tawanda, and all this hair, you know, it brings up kind of energy. So the Black woman in front of me, she was an older woman, but the way the woman all the way at the end of the line was talking to her as if she was dumb or something like that. Like, come on. So I turned around. My sister was pinching my arm. I said, lady. No, I said, ma'am, don't bring that energy up in here. Okay? Like, you just have to be there to understand the energy going on. It's like, don't talk to us any kind of way and think that it's okay. But me defending that person, defending myself, is not me being angry. It's not me having a sense of aggression. It's me letting you know she's standing where she's supposed to stand, but you're not going to talk to her that way.
Exactly.
Okay. So whether it is a misunderstanding, or maybe you didn't see the person in front of her, that he was not practicing social distancing, but this lady decided to, you're not going to talk to her, not in my presence. And I don't care who it is. It could be you. It could be anybody. I said, ma'am, don't bring that energy up in here.
Right.
Okay. And she
absolutely.
Like, okay. I was like, don't. It just, it's frustrating. It's
very much. Very much.
Talk about another term, which is over the top. Please don't call us over the top. We're not. How? It's almost like you're telling us that we're being an over dramatic extension of ourselves, and all we're being is ourselves. Period. You know, we're not over the top. We're not doing too much. You know, we are who we are, and that's it. And if you can't handle that, either you're going to change or move on. You know what I'm saying? Or walk away. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's it. Another term is ghetto. Oh,
Right. Yep.
what do you think about that, Tawanta?
Oh, that's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that over the top ghetto fight, this, that, or whatever. It to me, it's just so disrespectful as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Um, when you say over the top, oh, she's a little extra, she's being dramatic
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. And honestly, she's basically, being her. She's speaking her truth. She's speaking the facts or whatever she's talking about. And that is not being over the top. That's not being dramatic or what have you. The ghetto terminology as well, man. And that's not everybody. That
Yes.
is
No,
not
it's not.
that's not everybody, honestly.
Mm-mm.
Because there are some sisters out there that really do act, in a way they should not have to act that way.
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
they, they have a choice to make.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to act a certain way to get your message
Mm-hmm.
across.
Mm-hmm.
I am from the
Right.
hood. I was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. And
That's
I
right.
can tell you, I have an option to go ahead and act all hood and ghetto
Mm-hmm.
and,
Mm-hmm.
what's up, this, that, or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
could do that if I want to. But my
Absolutely.
mother raised me better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a learned behavior.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? It's a learned behavior. So, just because you in the hood, it doesn't mean you have to be hood rat. It doesn't
That's
mean you
right.
have to wear the ghetto persona as a necklace.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how society, how they see you from their lens.
Yeah.
This is what you present yourself to. This is what they're going to call you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't want them to call you that way, then you need to make the choice. You need to change your style. You need to change your whole dialect, your conversation, and all of that. I'm just being honest, because
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to hear that truth, but that's the
Yeah,
truth.
that's right. You're
Because
hitting it
I
spot
could
on.
be slangish. I could be like, "What's up, shorty? How you
Mm-hmm.
doing?"
Mm-hmm.
All of that. I
Mm-hmm.
could get all gangster and all that
That's
stuff like
right.
that, because that's from, I'm from the brick city. You know what I'm
That's right.
saying?
All day.
I could do all that, but I choose not to.
Exactly, exactly. But it also has to take part where I know people will probably be like, well, the word angry, the word aggressive, the
Yeah.
over the top, the ghetto word. And I know some people may get confused because they see us, like you mentioned earlier, Tawanta, that we use these terms amongst each other within the community.
Yeah.
And a lot of our defense is we're turning the word into like a weapon, or putting a different spin on that word, like the N word, which I don't say that word, but I know
Absolutely.
within the community people say it as a sense of we take ownership of that word. And I just
Yeah.
don't like that. I feel like don't call me that. Don't call me any of those terms, period, because those those words are used in a negative way. And I feel
Yeah.
like if we're going to say these words amongst each other, okay, we can't really 1000% blame other people for calling other people outside of our race calling us that, because we use it amongst each other. And to have another nationality try to understand that you can't use that word, we use it because this is what we use it for, it's almost like a sense of, are you delusional? Like,
Yeah.
this is a bad word. And
It
that's
is.
it. It's like you can't put a good spin on something that is demeaning and disrespectful, you
And I
know?
think too, I think as well, we need to do our own history. We need to do our
Oh,
own,
yes.
uh, um, looking up for that word. We keep
Hmm.
preaching that out to, to the white culture and to other cultures or what have you. But we need to go back and, look at the meaning of that word. Where did it come from?
And what it represents.
What it represents
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a double standard. It
Hmm.
is. We can't get mad at, the other nationalities telling us, well, why is it not good for us to say it, but you guys say it in your own
Hmm.
community, in your
Hmm.
amongst yourselves. And then
Hmm.
we're gonna get indignant and we're gonna go ahead and go say something to get, to that person.
Yeah.
But it's a honest it's a question.
It is. It's an honest response. It's
It
almost like
is.
if you took yourself outside the bubble, you will be more understanding of where the confusion lies. I feel
Yeah.
like when we just stop using these words altogether and just
All
stop those
together.
words coming through the community, coming through the cycle, there will be other words that we can force other nationalities to replace that represents who we are. And I'm a mother of three daughters. Tawanta, you're a mother of two daughters. We don't want that languaging spinned around
No.
with our daughters or with our granddaughters. It's that
Right.
serious at this point. Which brings us into the topic that we're going to be discussing on Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tawanta and I are going to be doing our season 2 of our Sister Connection talk show. And our first topic this year, is about sister versus sister. As
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned earlier, this topic is about how we as Black women feel sometimes envious of other Black women. We may feel sometimes jealous of other Black women. We may feel like we're in competition with each other. I
Yeah.
worked in corporate for a long time and I've seen it with my own eyes. I've even myself was guilty of that for many, many years. And so we want to bring you guys, the public, into the conversation. We
Yeah.
want to discuss on Friday, we want to discuss solutions because Black women, we need to be collaborating with each other in 2021. We need to be showing up more in literally drones, okay, groups,
Mm-hmm.
tribes
Mm-hmm.
in 2021. We need to create a massive movement as Black women in 2021. But we
Mm-hmm.
got to remove all these barriers that stop us from working together and, more importantly, stop us from trusting each other. So if
Absolutely.
you want to be on our panel to chime in on this topic of sister versus sister, we're going to be broadcasting live on Friday, this Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But when you come on panel, we want you to come up with your solution. Tawanta and I are going to be giving our solutions. We want you to also state your solution, your perspective, your experience on how we can solve this issue. Because we don't want to just have built this show off of just talking about the problem,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the issue, and being, contributors to spreading the tea. We really want to be the contributors of really getting out there and coming up with solutions to a lot of the issue challenges and problems that goes along with us as amongst Black women. But I know, Tawanta, you mentioned that you have some really hardcore questions. You want to share it here so that they're prepared on Friday.
Yeah, let me get them right now. Yeah, I have basically two questions that I'm going to throw out to you ladies for you to actually ponder on. So come Friday, when we come on at 12 noon, God willing, that, we can come back and address those questions,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully we can find some resolutions as well. So the first question is, do you think that some Black women can be mean to each other? And I know that's just a basic question, but really ponder on that,
Mm-hmm.
because we can be mean to each other. We could be nice nasty, as they
Oh,
call
yes.
it,
Yes.
and there are women who can be nice nasty. They could be very sarcastic, nasty, nice, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned
And
that one time.
yeah, and sometimes we don't recognize it, or somebody else recognizes it, and it becomes a battle, what
Mm-hmm.
have you. And that's just basically lack of communication, lack of respect for each other, all those things. But that's the question: do you think that some Black women can be mean to each other,
Each other, right?
at the job, or
Mm-hmm.
and even in your own family? Let's keep it
Yes.
real. Even in the family, there's
Yes.
our own blood.
Can be that way. And before you move on to
Yeah,
your next point,
sure.
those of you who are watching, if you want to be part of the discussion, again, we're going to be talking about this topic more in depth this Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to join us on panel, just email us. Email us at that email going across the bottom of the screen at sister2, the word two, not the number two, sister connection at gmail.com. Now, when you email us, we want to hear your solution, because we're not just having anybody and everybody come on here and have a venting session. We don't want to make this a bashing Black women moment, because I've seen a lot of summits and lives where it goes into that, and there's a thin line with that. And I want to make sure Tawanta and I want to have some type of control over the commentary that's going to be going on, because that's exactly what we're going to be doing on Friday's commentary. But email us if you want to be on panel. Let us know, what are some of your solutions to this. What do you feel that can solve this problem that you want to share on the show? Go ahead, Tawanta.
Yeah. The second question is pretty much, I think, well, what you were just talking about earlier, Letitia, about the reality shows and whatnot.
Oh yes.
So this is saying we see so many Black women treating each other horribly on, on the reality TV shows nowadays. How can we teach our daughters to love and respect each other? Okay, that is a question there that we definitely need to, ponder on and think about. Because listen, we're home. We're not really going out as much like we used to. And so, what's on these televisions,
Yep.
on these stations, is a lot of these reality TV shows.
Yeah, you're right.
And it is drawing more and more younger people, young women into the shows now more than ever. I am not a fan of them at all, but I have
it's
seen
making us look
some
messy.
episodes.
Yeah, it's
What you
like
say,
that
babe?
term of like, that whole word, oh, messy, is making us look and appear just very messy. And
Yeah.
people think that when they see the Love and Hip Hop, when they see the Housewives or whatever, that's a representation of all of us.
Right.
And that's not the case. That's the representation of whoever that character who's on that show. That's not a representation of all of us. Go ahead, Mama.
Yeah, you absolutely right. You are. But you know what? Unfortunately, a lot of parents are actually allowing TV to be the parent to their children.
Come on now.
Okay,
Come
so
on now.
we definitely need to address that
Girl.
as well. Okay, because you see it out in these streets. Back home in New York and New Jersey, you see how some of these sisters, these young girls are acting.
Yes.
You see how they are dressing. You see how they are talking. They are mimicking what they are getting from television.
Yes.
Okay. And, we can't continue to tolerate that behavior. We are held accountable as the seasoned generation.
That's right.
We are supposed to take our young daughters, and we're supposed to, minister to them with love and teach them accordingly how to carry themselves in a dignified manner.
That's right.
But we have become so lazy with parenting. We focus in on our selfish needs, satisfying our flesh, our lust of being popular, getting that man, getting that money, and all this other stuff. We fail of doing our responsibility. Now, I get it that there are some moms out there that are doing the best they can. I was raised by a single mom. And I know exactly how challenging that can be. And especially if you do have a parent, a spouse, whether it's their biological father or whether it's the stepdad, and they're doing their part for the most part or whatever. But then you have some other additional issues going on. And I know the struggle. I know I know it all because I experienced it myself.
Yeah.
But I can tell you from the way how my mom raised me, I thank God for her teaching. I thank God for her discipline. Back in the day, they didn't have no reality shows back then.
No, we didn't.
But the streets were reality. Family was reality. I can easily follow up what was right in front of my face. But I thank God for my mom, where she directed me and taught me how to not, replicate what I saw or what I see on the streets or what I hear in conversations with older adults that should know better, kind of thing. So this question, like I said, is something that we definitely need to really ponder on and really, answer, from the heart. And especially if you do have daughters out there, if you do have daughters or even granddaughters for some of you, what is your take on it? How are you, addressing, today's reality TV to your daughters? How are you telling? What are you saying to them that that what you see is not real. In a sense, it is real, because even though they're on the show and they are following what the producers want them to do, yet they are still living that lifestyle. They're still dealing with the ghetto fabulous, the aggressive, the angry type of mentality, the behavior going on behind the scenes anyway. Because a lot of these women that's on these shows, they don't even know how to take that off.
Yeah.
They don't know how to take off that that
That
persona that they
persona,
have.
and they
Right.
get locked into it,
Exactly.
So, and yeah.
Exactly. So those are the two questions that I have right now. But
Yeah.
I hope that you ladies definitely who's watching this and even watching the replay, that you definitely just write these questions down, and come Friday we could come back and address it again, and just share our thoughts about it, because it starts with us. We definitely, if we want change to take place in our community, we have to be the change maker.
Yeah. And if you are a Black woman and you're watching this, you have to be part of this conversation. You just have to. You have to come in. You have to definitely put forward your perspective and your solution to this issue. Because if you are an entrepreneur, I know a lot of people who are on my channel, or more importantly, have a business. I know that you have dealt with this at some point or another, where maybe you felt like, oh, I cannot partner with a Black woman because we're messy and we're this and we're always focusing on the problems and things like that, and you prejudge or wrongfully judge your sister in the wrong way, and it's just like, we have a very large sense of distrust amongst each other.
Right.
And it's just so sad. It really, really is. And in order for us to start rebuilding that, we have to talk about it.
Absolutely.
We have to bring it up.
Absolutely.
Even though a lot of times I know whenever, I have a brother and a sister, whenever my mom be like, okay, guys, gotta come sit at the table, we gotta talk. We always think of, okay, what happened? What I do? And we dread talking about tough topics and tough issues, but we gotta talk about it in order to get through it, in order to do better. Like, you never know, your next partnership with your sister may be the next best thing for your business, for yourself, that's going to
Yeah.
elevate you, that's going to
Yeah.
take you to the next level. Me personally, I have gotten so much uh, 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 negativity from other Black women, me as an entrepreneur. They feel that I should charge cheaper or charge nothing at all, or underappreciated. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even this year, I had to put certain clients in their place. It's just so much we deal with, that we do to each other as Black women, that's
Yeah.
damn right disgusting. But we have to talk about this conversation of sister versus sister, because this is something that definitely needs to be stopped. It needs to be stopped. It needs to be addressed, and
Yeah.
it needs to be worked through.
Yeah.
You have Black daughters, Tawanta. I have 3 Black daughters. So it's like, I know this is something that's going to come up for them. And they're going to look back at this and say, wow, we brought up the conversation. This is what we're going to do to resolve that. So listen, guys, we want you to be a part of this we want you to come on panel. Again, this is a talk show. This is like as if we're at Starbucks having a convo about this particular topic. And again, we're just not going to let anybody come on panel. You got to email us at sister-to-sister-connection@gmail.com and let us know. And put in the subject line, sister versus sister. Put in the subject line, sister versus sister, and let us know. Please don't make it a long essay, because I don't want to be reading so often. I don't want to be reading for days and days and days. Just let us know who you are, and let us know what is your perspective about sister versus sister. What
Yeah.
what 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 do you feel is the solution? What should we do to end this animosity, this jealousy, this messiness amongst each other? What can we do? Don't say whether white people should do. No.
Mm-hmm.
What should we do amongst each other? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so important. I worked at jobs. I had a young lady that I worked with, and she started off at the office at the bottom position, right? And she
Mm-hmm.
worked her way up. She got her master's, and she worked her way up to director. And she only got kickback and negativity and outright disrespect from the Black women in the staff. I mean, it was
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah.
What we sometimes do to each other, and that's one experience. But we want you guys to share if something like that has ever happened to you or something similar to that. And we also want to know, what is your solution to it? What is your solution to it? We get on here and share more solutions. I'm telling you right now, we're going to make a huge breakthrough. We really, really are. So please, please email us, sisterconnection@gmail.com. And we would love to have you on the panel on Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We don't care if you're at work. We don't care if you're in your car. As long as you have some type of device where you could go live. You don't even have to be on camera, right, Tawana? If you don't be on
Right.
camera, that's fine. We can still have you on with no camera. That's okay. You know what I mean? You're just stating your perspective about the topic.
And
So
let me just add this
go
little
ahead, Mama.
nugget too, because I'm pretty sure going to repeat this again come Friday. But just look at the history, of Black women in general. I mean, this goes all the way down to slavery time. This is
Mm,
where the you know the lack of communication comes in, because they refrained us from learning to talk, to read, to write, all that other
mhm.
stuff. And if you also remember too, where the slave masters, they separated women based on the color of their skin.
That's true.
They separated the darkies, as they call them,
Mhm.
and put them in the in the shed somewhere, while they took
Mhm.
the light skin or the mulattoes, into
That's
their
right.
care, into their house,
That's right.
and gave them better treatment, if you will. And of course, they manipulated the whole situation. This is the
Mhm.
slave masters. Now they manipulated, and even though in our culture and our ancestors, they look at it as like, oh, it's all about favoritism,
Mhm.
which was not so much about it, but it was just basically a mindset that
Mhm.
really started this whole
This
craziness
whole
in the first
thing.
place, you
Yeah,
know.
it's the
And
color
so
of
we
the
definitely
teeth.
need
Yes.
to, as I said before, we need to do our history. We need to do our research.
Mhm.
We need to understand where this demonic spirit is coming from. It came from the slave masters. It
That's
really
true.
did. And they taunted our ancestors with this
Mhm.
garbage. They
Mhm.
the ones that said stuff. And if by chance, the light-skinned slave did something that she wasn't supposed to do, here's a dark-skinned woman comes in, she will put the blame on the dark-skinned woman,
Mhm.
knowing that she's going to get whipped versus her
Mhm.
getting whipped. she
Mhm.
may get she may get some type of punishment, but it won't be as severe as the dark skinned girl
That's
and
right.
what have you. And I'm not stepping out of line on this, because
No,
this
you're
is
not.
what
You're not at
happened.
all. You're not at all. Because
This is what
let's
happened.
get it out there, because that's what it is. My great grandmother, because she was darker skinned, and she got a lot of flack for that. She, when she started having children and grandchildren, she favored the more darker complected kids versus the lighter skin, because she had gotten so much negativity from the lighter skin. I mean, it's so, Tawanta, you're touching it onto some deep roots, and those are the things we want to really put out there into the forefront,
Absolutely.
because a lot of it is totally has to do with us and how we took in all the abuse and the manipulation
Yeah.
uh, since slave times.
Because at that time, we thought we didn't have power to stop it. There was a
Yeah,
few that did. There was a few that tried.
yeah,
Of course, and don't get it twisted. There are some that actually did beyond. They knew who they were and they did it. Harriet
yeah,
Tubman, all these other phenomenal women
yeah.
that we know to this day. But then some that took the risk, but they
Mm,
knew the penalty if they got caught. But
mm,
the rest of them, they just they accepted what was, that they were not smart, they were not beautiful, they were not
mm,
intelligent, they this, that, or
mm.
whatever. And that's where that insecurity comes in. That's
Yeah,
where that low self-esteem comes in,
yeah,
right? But
yeah,
when it comes to the light-skinned women at that time, again, they get the better treatment. They may get some punishment because of whatever they didn't do, but their punishment was mostly rape.
mm-hmm,
Their
mm-hmm,
punishment was
mm-hmm.
mostly, like, well, I'm going to take your child away, or whatever
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was. You know what I'm saying? And this has been going on from generation to generation
mhm,
to generation to generation. It's a generational curse.
yeah,
And then you have this black versus light skin. light skin versus dark skin,
Talk
this
about
kind
it.
of thing. You have the animosity towards each other
Yeah.
because you see the light skin is getting, promoted faster. Oh, she must have had to sleep her way in to
Yeah.
get to that level of
Yeah.
success,
Or she got that because,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah.
Right. And you see it now in our communities. You see now with people who starting businesses. You
Yeah.
see now, like Letitia says, she's getting that flack on her end, because
Mm-hmm.
she's an entrepreneur and
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. But this is it's just crazy how we are
It's
tearing each
outlandish.
other down.
Yeah.
And we should not do that. Now, it's all on us because we have that power to
Mm-hmm.
stop it.
Mm-hmm.
We really, really
Yeah,
do.
absolutely
We
do.
can't continue to go and ask for assistance from the government or from other people, other officials. No, because it's not their problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is on us now. We have power within us as a woman of excellence, a woman of integrity, a woman of power. We have that to stop this negative, demonic spirit of not torturing, but basically, tearing down,
Yeah,
the integrity of another woman,
that's right.
especially when we call women out of their name.
Mm-hmm.
you know what's the thing that people say, what is that thing they said, oh, I can't even think of it now, but I can't think of it. But when you say something about somebody else, 9 times out of 10, you're talking about yourself.
It's mirroring, and that's all we're doing. We're just mirroring something that we're lacking within ourselves that we're
Mm-hmm.
projecting onto another sister. Because when we see, and I see this all the time, where
Yeah.
I don't want to name no names because, like I told you, to watch, I got family that watches my
Yep.
stuff,
Yep.
but I seen it where it's like they would treat their own horrible, but when
Yeah.
another nationality comes in the room, it's a different energy, it's a different body language, it's different dialogue, and it's just
Yeah.
sad because those
It's
same
very
people that you're
sad.
trying to impress are actually talking about you behind your back. You don't even
Right.
know, but
Yeah.
it's like it's so many layers to this conversation that we have
It
to
really
talk.
is.
We just have to. And we understand that some of you are working and maybe 12 o'clock is like your 12 p.m. Eastern is like your lunchtime, but jump in, talk for 5 minutes and hop off. But you have to say something about this conversation. You just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you just have to. It's a must. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited about talking about this
Yeah.
because you have two daughters. I keep going back to this because we are moms. I have three daughters, and I could just imagine everything that's going to come up for them against
Mm-hmm.
each other. I know me and my sister used to go back and forth, fighting back and forth, beyond just sister to sister and sister quarrels, right?
Yeah.
But we have to make a change and we have to talk about the solution instead of wedging the problem because we all know what the problem is. But where is the solution? Where
Right.
is we can't wait for people who don't look like us to do something about it because really they're going to keep pouring salt on the wound.
Mm-hmm.
We have to heal. We have to heal. We have to heal that wound. We definitely do. Hey, Teresita, how you doing? So listen, guys, if you want to join us on Friday, how it's going to work is you email us. Again, the topic is going to be about sister versus sister. Email us at sister to sister connection at gmail.com. Put in the subject line sister versus sister. Let us know what is your solution to the problem that we're having with sisters being other black women being jealous of other black women feeling envious of other black women, feeling like we're in competition against each other. What is your solution to this problem? And we're going to give you a special link so that you could join us on panel and let us know what your solution is. Your camera can be on or off, it doesn't matter. We're going to have one person come on panel at a time, and then we're going to close it out with everyone coming on panel and make it look sort of like a group discussion. But just imagine, like, you're going to be a trendsetter. You're going to be that pattern interrupt, which I'm so excited about, including each and every one of you guys who are watching us into this conversation, Twanter and our sword side, because we really want to talk about this issue and we really want to come up with a solution to this issue. And this may be part one to a whole series
Yeah.
of solutions that people can go to and use as a reference for their community. So I'm excited about it. We can't wait for our brothers to come up with a solution for us. We're black when we know how to handle each other. and we know how not to handle each other.
Mhm.
So we gotta have this conversation. So is there anything you want to add, Tawanta, before we end this?
Not really. I mean, at the end of the day, you said it all. I mean,
Mhm.
we definitely have a lot of work to do. It can be done. It just takes one day at a time and one sister at a time.
Ooh,
But we also have to take care of ourselves. We got to look at ourselves first and foremost. If we want change to be done, we have to be the one to make the change, and it starts with us. Like Michael Jackson says, man in the mirror. He's talking about himself, talking about ourselves. So
hmm,
we cannot change other people when we have not made the effort to change.
that's right.
If we know we got a nasty mouth, then we need to ask God to help us deliver us from our nasty mouth.
That's
If
right.
we know we don't have a loving heart, then we need to ask God to do surgery in our hearts,
Hmm.
because He wants us to love ye one another. He wants us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And if you don't love your neighbor, then sugar plum, honey, you don't love yourself.
That's
And that's a
right.
problem. Okay. But God is the fixer, He's the healer, He's the one that can do it for you if you want it.
That's right.
If you're tired of seeing this same old drama taking effect on our social media and on television, then honey, you need to be the one to be the solution to the problem. And that's what Friday is going to be all about. We're going to have solutions, and talk about those solutions.
Hmm.
And like I said, we just take one day at a time, one sister at a time, and you will start noticing the change.
Yep.
You'll
And one
start noticing the
conversation at
change.
a time. One conversation at a time. The more we bring up these hard hitting conversations, the better the closer we're going to get to the solution that we have ever gotten before. And like I said, 2021, it's about you getting out there and saying, who can I partner with or do business with that looks just like me? That
Hmm.
looks just like me. The more that we help each other and even keep the financial economy within our own community, the more that we're going to grow. Every other nationality, Toronto, this surprises me. Every other nationality knows how to compromise and sacrifice to get to the bigger picture, to get to the common goal. My old neighborhood has totally changed, where it was predominantly Black and now it's predominantly Latino and other
Hmm.
nationalities,
Hmm.
because it seems like they know how to come together and sacrifice and deal with things to get to the big picture, to get to the common goal. We have to do
Yeah.
that as well. And
Hmm.
so, like I said, Tawanta and I are so excited to talk about this. Make sure you guys reach out to us. Also, before I hop off, just some highlights. If you want to donate to the show, cash up us at Boss Lady Movement. Cash up us at Boss Lady Movement. This goes all to the show. And also, we're going to be having a YouTube channel, an Instagram channel as well. That's going to come up very, very soon. We're also thinking about some events for 2020, 2021. So y'all make a look out for that as well. So without further ado, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. This has been a great conversation. We look forward to seeing you guys on Friday at 12
Yep.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, love each other, love each other, love each other, love each other. Bye, guys.
Bye.